Thank you. It's been phenomenal. I mean, I know that apparently we're only at like half the usual size, but that is fine by me. It's, I mean, I'm amazed. I keep getting like, I think I've seen it all, and then I just get giddy and delighted because I see something even cooler. And everyone is so nice, so thank you. And thanks for going on with all of the, making sure that you're masked and vaccinated and tested and all that. It means a lot that you guys want to be here and that you're willing to deal with all the stuff we have to deal with right now. So thanks.
What was the wildest, coolest thing you saw this weekend? Anything jump out in your mind?
Who saw the 6-foot-tall baby Yoda? I don't know how I feel about it. Well, no, I do know how I feel about it. It frightens me. That was cool and weird, and then there was also a guy who I saw yesterday. I don't know what he was, but he looked naked. He was just wearing like a flesh-colored, not even, thank you, yes, Speedo. It was like all bloody, and he was carrying a chainsaw, so I guess he was like someone who got drunk and chainsawed himself. I don't know.
That wasn't a costume.
Yeah. I've just been out partying too late.
Well, I want to get into some Star Wars with you for a little bit and maybe get to know your fandom, because this is a fan convention. So what's your earliest memory with Star Wars, or maybe a favorite memory that you have?
I don't remember a time when there wasn't Star Wars, because I grew up during the period when the first 3 movies were coming out. So I remember playing Ewok Adventures in my backyard and having my little stuffed Ewok, and of course wanting to be Princess Leia, because every little girl did. So it just like, it was just part of life. There wasn't ever like a moment when I was introduced to it, because I think I saw it so young, because I had an older brother, and so he saw it even sooner than I did, and it was just part of my childhood. It's just one of those things.
A question I love to ask people is, do you have a favorite kind of secondary character? So not your Leia's or Luke's or Han's, but someone that you think you might be the biggest fan of in the world.
Oh, I don't think I could claim to be the biggest fan of, I mean, I've met too many Star Wars fans to think I could be one of the biggest fans. Secondary character. Who count? I feel like everyone's an important character, though.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, in the panel the other day, we kept talking about Werner Herzog, and I'm still completely obsessed with him. And I don't know what the line is between him as a person and him as a character. So that I'm going to stick with them.
I think that's a good one. I've never heard that. So Star Wars has a bunch of great catchphrases. May the Force be with you. I've got a bad feeling about this. And now everyone is talking about this is the way.
It's bonkers!
So, how does it feel to be the first character to have said this is the way?
Insane! It's the coolest thing ever. I've never had a catchphrase. And I feel like, a lot of people get unlucky and they have a catchphrase that's really annoying. And I never get sick of it. People, sometimes they're like, would you mind writing it on my picture, on my Funko Pop? And I'm like, I feel incomplete if I don't write it. And I also really appreciate that it is a very useful phrase. It can be applied to a lot of situations. My brother tries to use it in his parenting. I try to use it with my husband. And after he saw that fight with the stormtroopers, he listens to it better. It's ridiculous. Words cannot explain how cool it feels.
Was that something that you or the crew knew was going to catch on, or did that surprise everybody?
The whole thing, I'm somebody who keeps my expectations pretty low, and not because I try to be cynical, but just because there is a lot of, I've been a part of so many projects that I think are really good and have great people and great ideas involved, and they just don't catch on. There's so much that goes into it, timing and the context into which something is released, like what else is coming out at the same time, and the people involved, and so no, I definitely didn't. I had to say that in my audition, and even then it sort of gave me chills. I sort of recognized the gravity and the profoundness of it, but no, I had no idea it was going to catch on the way that it did.
that's kind of part of the Mandalorian creed, I guess, the way of the Mandalore, keeping your mask on and everything. If you personally had to add something that you wanted into the Mandalorian creed, what would it be?
And keep good hygiene, because I feel like it gets really smelly under the armor. I have, at a convention I did recently, there was a gentleman who makes soaps, and there was one that he made that's called Mandalorian Armor. And yeah, exactly. And Joey Fatone was there at that convention, and he looked at it and he said, "This must smell like ball sweat." And it didn't. It smelled really good. It's like freshly washed Mandalorian armor. But yeah, that's always been a practical question. That was one of the first things my mom started. My mom has a very scientific mind, and she's always poking holes in things. And so she was like, well, they have to take off their helmets when they eat, and they, how do they take baths, and how do they procreate, and all that stuff. And I think there's been lots of creative answers to that.
Your mom's a real Star Wars fan, asking all these questions.
Yeah.
It's perfect. So, we were actually just talking about your mom figuring out the melting point of Beskar. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So, was there anyone who was in the panel a couple days ago? I don't even know what day it is. It's Monday. That was Friday. And is the gentleman who asked me about the Beskar here? No, he's not. So, okay. So he was being very clever, and he asked me what the melting point of Beskar is, and I fortunately came up with my own clever answer, and I said, well, it depends on, are we talking about within the atmosphere of Mandalore? Are we on Tatooine? Are we on Navarro? What unit of measurement are we using? And so I avoided answering it. But my mom was here this weekend for her first convention, and she had a great time. So thank you to everyone who was so nice to her. So she said, well, Beskar is strong enough to withstand a lightsaber, so that means that the melting point has to be higher than the heat of a lightsaber. So she looked up the heat of a lightsaber, which is 36,559.13 degrees Fahrenheit. So the melting point of Beskar must be at least 36,559.14 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're a little bit closer to the answer.
That makes sense. I'm sure you get asked this all the time, but I have to know, what's it like to wear the helmet and the whole get up?
It's really quite awkward. And this helmet, by the way, is not my actual helmet from the show. There's no way Disney would let me just carry it around with me. This is made by a guy named JC, whose company is Galaxy Props, and he's in the vendor hall, and you can buy one from him, and he is nice enough to loan it to me. The helmet is, it's very limiting. The vision is very limited. You can't see peripherally, you can't see down. It's really snug because they record all the dialogue while we're shooting. It's not added in later. They make changes later, but it's all done at the same time as we're shooting the scenes. And it's very constrictive, and it was such an interesting, I feel like as an actor, one of the things that's helped me the most is just trusting that every single challenge, every single obstacle, everything that seems like it's going to be a hindrance with technical stuff is something that I can use for the character. And so one of the reasons I think that the armorer developed very steady, slow, not too, in real life you may have noticed I gesture a lot, I use my hands all the time, I use my face, and she is much more still. And part of that is because I didn't want to make any sudden moves because I was afraid I was going to trip on something and fall on my face. And there was, in fact, a lot of, I've said this a number of times, that I just really want them to release a bloopers reel from season 1, because there were so many moments where when a bunch of Mandalorians were in the room together, we would bonk helmets, we would run into each other. It's like a Three Stooges sketch. Completely different from what you get to see. And so there was I had to have a great deal of trust that it looked as good as I knew it looked from the outside, because it didn't feel that way. but it was really helpful for the character because it made me, like, I just had to trust that I wasn't going to trip on something or fall over something. And I couldn't, we learned pretty quickly that any sort of, like, when you're wearing that helmet, you can't, like, look down to check where you're going because it's really distracting. Because when you don't have someone's face to look at, you just pay attention to every single movement of the rest of their body that much more. And everything means so much more. So every slight movement had a big impact, and sometimes that would be really distracting. And that was so much fun for me as an actor to learn the language of that movement, and we were all sort of learning it together as we shot. We were shooting episode 1 and episode 3 at the same time with Deborah Chow and Dave Filoni, and we were just like trying things and getting feedback in real time, and it was a really fun challenge. I enjoyed it, and I did have mass training from doing theater work, and I never in a million years thought that I would make use of it for television or, you know, for Star Wars. So that's nice.
What was it like to read the script for Chapter 8? Because I remember watching that and being pretty disappointed because I felt like we were being set up for, like, oh, a noble sacrifice, the armor is going to buy them some time and probably not make it out.
Yeah.
And then you have that badass fight scene.
You were being set up for that. John told me that he had originally written it that she did sacrifice herself and that was the end of the armorer, and then he changed his mind. I was like, thank you!
Yeah.
I thought it was incredible, and I got that script, and I was like, okay, I went to Ryan, our stunt coordinator, and I was like, I want to train, I want to do this, and we were shooting it in like 2 or 3 weeks, and so he very gently and very kindly, he said, that's really sweet. He said, there's just no way that you could learn the level of fighting that you need to, like, make this go well. But I did, he said, see what you can pick up, and I did work with somebody for the 2 or 3 weeks that I had, and it was all based in a martial art called Kali, and that was really fun for me because I love getting to learn new things as an actor, and I've always wanted to, like, be able to train for something. And so I did that so that I could do some of the transitions and stuff, but Lauren Mary Kim, my amazing stunt double, was the one who did that fight in actuality, and for me, I knew the fight happened, but I didn't see it until the episode aired and everybody else was watching it, and so I think it had a similar impact on me as it had on everybody else, and I was like, thank you, Lauren Mary Kim, because you made that character look way better than Emily would have if she had tried to do that fight. So it was a pretty breathtaking moment, and I cheered like I guess a lot of you did.
Yeah, it was. Well, now I'm going to ask you something you probably can't answer, but I feel like I have to ask. I mean, the armor is still alive, so where was she during season 2?
Good question. I don't know. And it was so bizarre because, like, I'm sure you've heard a million times that, like, they keep things very secret, and we, even as actors, Ryan, who I'm working with this week, people come up to my table and keep asking, like, am I going to be in season 3? Am I going to be in season 3? And he said, here's what happens. A van pulls up to her house, they throw a burlap sack over her head, they shove her in the van, they drive her to set, she gets out, Jon Favreau says, say the line, say the line. And I say, this is the way. They throw the bag over my head again and they take me home. And that's a little bit what it feels like. Like, I did not know for sure that I wasn't going to be in season 2 until I did the math, and I was like, oh, okay, they're done shooting season 2. I guess I'm not in season 2. And then it was bizarre because when the trailer was about to come out, they got in touch with my agent and they said, Emily's probably going to get a lot of questions when the trailer comes out, so just tell her not to say anything. And I was like, well, that's easy because I don't know anything. And then the day the trailer came out, I hadn't seen it, but my phone just started blowing up. And so I watched it and I realized that, like, I was the voice of season 2. And I was like, oh, okay, now I understand, but why am I not in it? And then that scene, like, when with the Aqualish, is that the characters that showed up in the Armorer's Forge? When I saw that, I was like, what the heck, where is she? So I don't know where she went, but she's around somewhere, she's not dead.
Do you have any headcanon? Like, where do you see her in your mind? What's she off doing?
Well, I think she's off trying to get into contact with other Mandalorians to rebuild, because that's what they just have to keep doing, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
That feels like where season 3 and beyond is probably going to head. feel like the Mandalorian would mesh well with someone like Bo-Katan and these other Mandalorians who are running around with their masks off, not a care in the world?
Do you mean with the armorer mesh well? I would be really interested to see her reaction to it. Because she's not, I'm so intrigued by her. Because she is so, you know, one of the things I love about her is that she believes so deeply in this creed, and it is just, to see somebody who has such conviction as that, and who is not, you know, she's not aggressive about it, except when she needs to be. She's not like shouting it at people, trying to force them to believe it. It's just like something that she carries in the core of her being. So I'd be interested to see what her reaction would be, because I don't think that she would like immediately fly off the handle. And I do think that she is interested in deeper understanding amongst all the Mandalorians, but this is the way, not to take off your helmet. So I don't know, I'd be really intrigued. Also because I think Katie Sackhoff is amazing, and I just want to get to work with her.
Yeah. Woohoo! I think we all want to do that. Do you know if the armor has a name? The Mandalorian is an interesting show with a lot of characters like. Okay, I have one more question for Emily, but we want to make sure there's plenty of time for audience Q&A. So if you want to line up right here, we will get a microphone to you. So we left off with a lot of the Mandalorian characters and the Darksaber. Who do you think is more worthy of wielding the Darksaber, Din or Bo-Katan, or would you like to throw the armorer's hat for the ring?
Oh my gosh! The Darksaber. So I just got a Darksaber from a company called CR Sabers, maybe? I might be getting that wrong. And it's so fun. And it's one of the ones that you can actually fight with. Like, it won't break. And it makes fun noises and everything. But that was not the question. I'm getting so many fun toys. Oh man, I love the dilemma that they've set up, because like Din Djarin, it doesn't feel like he wants the Darksaber. He's a very reluctant leader. I think Bo-Katan would like to have it back, but also knows that, you know, that there's a little bit of shadiness with the way that she had it and the way she lost it. I don't feel like the armorer would want to wield it like to be the leader. She strikes me as the one who like sort of leads the leaders and supports the leaders. You know, she's the mentor. But I think that it's gonna, I mean, I can't wait to see how they resolve that, because they've set up something that's really sticky. And I don't know, who do you guys want to see ultimately have the Darksaber?
That's gonna start a whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long do we have?
And sorry, let's just, you guys are doing pretty good, but let's just keep social distance in line.
Why is everyone on the floor? Why are you guys all kneeling?
This is the way.
Oh, that's so considerate of you. Aww.
I wanted to ask about kind of the way that filming gets done on set, because obviously there's stunt doubles, and you guys work with stunt doubles even when you are in the armor and stuff like that. So how much, I guess, is added in later? Like, because obviously when 80% of the cast doesn't show their face,
Yeah.
it's very easy to transition from shot to shot like that. And I've seen a lot of interviews with people who say that when you do show their face, it's a lot more difficult. So how much of the show is you guys versus your stunt doubles, and do you reshoot scenes with both, or how does that work logistically?
It varies from character to character. The armor, I am always the armorer, except in that one fight sequence. With Din Djarin, there are 3 main guys that do that. I mean, we all know Pedro, and I think everyone by now knows about Brendan Wayne and Lateef. I don't remember Lateef's last name, who are just such phenomenal people. And it truly is, I mean, I had worked with Pedro before, and I think Pedro is brilliant. I think Brendan is brilliant. I think Lateef is brilliant, and they all bring something different to Mando, and what you see and what you love is all of their contributions, plus a couple of other people. Because Mando is, I mean, and I can only really speak to season 1 when I was there. But you know, Mando is in so much, and sometimes he's just doing action, and so it's easier just to get one of the stunt doubles to do that. But that's no small thing, because that means that everyone who is contributing to playing Mando has to have the same body movements, has to have the same, you have to, because you're going to notice if it's not him, especially by now, we know him really well. And I don't really know about other characters. I do know, one thing that was interesting when we were shooting season 1 was that they still hadn't decided if Grogu was going to be a puppet or CGI. And so every time we shot a scene with him, we did a scene with the puppet, and then we did a scene where there was nothing there so that they could CGI it in later. Yeah. And thank goodness, I'm so glad that Werner, it sounds like he was the one that bullied them into using the puppet. I'm so glad for that, right? And that too is part of like what feels like the original Star Wars, is having the puppet that, and I think that in some ways that feels more real than, even if the CGI looked technically great, the puppet's better. And knowing that there's somebody controlling the puppet, like that becomes part of that character. So that was interesting, and it was, and as an actor, it's, it's funny because we talk about how challenging it is to like do stuff with blue screen and green screen, and it's true, but it's also just like going back to when you were 6 years old, and for me playing Ewok adventures in my backyard. I didn't have Ewoks, but I saw them there, they were there. So sometimes we have to kind of call on that brain again when we do that, but it was much more fun to do the scenes with the puppet, who reduces you to idiocy. Even though it's a puppet, it's still just so cute. Those scenes were a lot more fun than when there was nothing there. We were just like, oh, there is the child. That's a good question. Thank you.
Hi, and thank you so much for spending your weekend with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Awesome to see you. So my question is, since your first time Dragon Connor, if you were to come back as a fan of anything, what would you be?
Oh my gosh. That's a really good question. I hadn't thought about it at all. My brain is exploding. I don't know. Chewbacca. I just like, every time I see a Chewbacca at a convention, it makes me so happy. And I was talking to one of the Chewbaccas here this weekend, a gentleman named Mickey, and he was saying that like, he was talking about the different Star Wars cosplay and like which ones bring the most happiness and who gets excited. And he was saying like, when you're Chewbacca, people are going to be happy to see you, and you're just bringing so much joy. I think that would be fun. Yeah, total anonymity. Anonymity. Yeah.
Hi. So you were saying, when you were a little girl, you wanted to be Princess Leia, like we all did. And when we were growing up, Princess Leia was kind of it for us girls who like Star Wars. And now there's lots of badass ladies in Star Wars, especially in Mandalorian. So I was wondering how that feels, knowing that now there are little girls growing up with Star Wars who want to be your character, and how that must be amazing. But
I'm getting choked up. It makes me want to cry. It's incredible to me. And I love, and one of the things that is most special about it too, is that she's this strong woman. She has deeply held beliefs, which I think is so important to see modeled. And people are very often like, oh, don't you wish like you could take off your helmet at least once, or da-da-da-da-da. But I have been doing this for a couple of decades now, and I, as a woman in Hollywood, am so aware of what I look like, and what parts people think I'm right for, what parts they think I'm not right for, what I'm pretty enough for, what I'm not pretty enough for. And the fact that there is this character who is so beloved, and it has nothing to do with what she looks like, is incredible to me. I love that, and I love that, especially when I get to meet little girls who are wearing armor costumes. It's so profound. It is the most joyful feeling. I never imagined anything like this. And I'm just so grateful that they created a character like this, and I'm so grateful that I get to play her, and that I get to learn from her too, because I always I always learn from the characters that I play, and there's plenty that the armorer just owns that I kind of aspire to. So it's blah, 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 unbelievable. Thank you for that question. What did you say?
I'm not sure how I felt about coming here and seeing your actual.
I know, yeah, sorry. Erase.
All right, since you said Chewbacca, we're gonna have to get a quick Chewbacca roar. And I also want to know, like, what was your reaction to the last episode, season 2, when Luke finally makes his appearance and everything? Growing up as, I'm sure we all grew up as the Star Wars fans, I know my jaw dropped and
Yeah, I did
watched
not
it like
expect
5
that.
times.
It was bonkers. It was brilliant. It was insane. Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect that. I knew, especially because I knew nothing about season 2 at all, so it was pretty rad. Yeah. And you wanted me to do a Chewbacca roar? Oh. Yeah. I never attempted it. I gotta work on that. Next year it'll be better.
I'll ask you again next year, too.
You're gonna hold me to it. Do you think there's YouTube tutorials for that? Because there's YouTube tutorials for everything. How to master it. Well, let me hear yours. Oh.
Hello. So, over the years, since even Boba Fett, there's been a very iconic design for Mandalorians and what Mandalorian armor means. So what was your reaction to seeing a design that was essentially a blend of Mandalorian armor and Viking armor?
I mean, I think it's dope. I knew, again, I knew so little about what I was about to be doing because they're so secretive. And so the costume was actually like my first glimpse into who this woman was because I didn't have a script or anything. And I went in for my fitting and they needed to take a cast of my torso and they're talking to me about all this stuff as if I knew what was going on and I didn't. And so they said, oh, would you like to see a sketch of it? And yes. I just think it's magnificent. I love it. I love that, there's so much we're not quite sure about. People have asked me so much about the horns, and I honestly do not know if they stand for anything else, if they link her to anyone else, Darth Maul. No one has told me any of that. But I think I love that her armor is so strong, but still so unmistakably feminine. Like that she's wearing a leather skirt, but it's still completely functional, except for the fur, which has confused me a little bit because she's around fire all the time. But I think, she knows what looks good, so why not add fur? Yeah.
I was wondering, since you were talking about Grogu, what was your reaction when you saw him the first time, like in person?
I was so dumb. He's so cute. He's brilliant. He's just it's really, whoever designed him is just a genius. That's all I can say. Yeah.
So I know a lot of people have this, have a phrase or a kind word that a stranger said to them that sticks with them. I was wondering if you had something like that.
Oh, I've had lots of kind words said to me. I think the most important thing that I've gotten to hear from multiple people in my life is I believe in you. Because we lose that a lot. Especially I don't think it's just in the arts. I think it's Chewy. I think there's so much in this world that makes us doubt ourselves, and we're in this society where it's become this so important to you can even feel bad about yourself for not believing in yourself enough. Like you're supposed to summon that strength from yourself, and we need each other, and that's okay. And so I'm always grateful when someone reminds me that they do. It's just there. They believe in me, and it's not because I'm the best. It's not because I'm trying my hardest necessarily. It's just because I am worthy because I am here on this planet. So that's always important to hear.
Okay, so I know how much you enjoy the fans, because obviously you are one yourself, and I heard that you were at one of the 501st Legion's get-togethers, and I know they helped out with the cast in the first season. So I just wanted to know, like, how did you feel, like, taking photos with the Mandalorians yesterday, and just that whole concept? There are so many who wanted on, like, the costumes and, you know, do things for people.
It's, I mean, I feel so lucky that everyone has been so welcoming to me because I'm so new to the party. And I remember I didn't know about I didn't know about the 501st, I didn't know about the Rebel Legion, I didn't know about the Mando Mercs, and we were, the premiere for season 1, there were a couple of Mando Mercs chapters, is that what I would say? Clans, I'm still learning. At the premiere, and I was like, I remember like getting out of the car and seeing all these people with their own helmets, and I was like, what is this? And I mean, I continue to be amazed at the creativity that's within that particular group because of you know, people inventing their own characters. And I also remember like one of the moments, I started to get an inkling of how special that community is during the premiere when, so we got to watch the first 3 episodes, and so in episode 3, when like Mando's down for the count and all the bounty hunters are after him, and then, you know, the Mandalorians rise from below and start kicking ass, there was this tremendous cheer that came from all the mercs in the audience, and it was just so cool. They were so overjoyed to see the Mandalorians finally like get some credit, be legitimized, and it's become one of my favorite parts of the conventions to get to know the local of all of those different groups, get to know the local clans and battalions and legions, and I am just so impressed by both the diligence and the care that goes into making the costumes, but also the incredible open-heartedness and all of the charity work that's done and all of the good that is happening in the world. You know, it's one thing to like dress up and it's a great thing to dress up with your friends and celebrate like whatever fandom you're a part of, but I mean, it started when I was doing conventions for Supernatural. I've just seen how all these different fandoms, in addition to like loving each other so much because you have this shared appreciation for whatever show, like you turn that love outward and you share it with the rest of the world, and that is just incredible to me. So my amazement just keeps growing. It's been really cool. Thank you. And I've gotten to collect a bunch of amazing challenge coins and patches and trading cards.
Good morning.
Hi.
So, you mentioned you record all your dialogue live. You don't do ADR. You say live.
I do ADR, but only like for things that need to be changed, or if something, you know, sometimes there's noise that gets in the way.
What I was wondering was, do the helmets that are used for shooting, do they have wired up microphones?
Yes.
Like they do have them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means that we can't have a fan in there, like a lot of you guys do. And it gets hot. And I remember like especially shooting with Tate, who plays Paz Vizsla, because he is a big guy. He's got a lot of armor on, and he would take off his helmet. We'd all take him off in between takes and have fans blowing on us, and he was just covered in sweat. He needed some of that Mandalorian armor, so.
Did you ever yell at any of them for taking their helmets off?
I did not. That would be so rude. I think that would get old quickly. Thank you. Oh, nice work.
Hi. So in my own headcanon, because Armor is still alive, she's probably off in some other planet creating her new covert of Mandalorian. Was curious for your perspective, what planet would you want to see the Armorer on next, creating a new base for Mandalorian?
Well, it probably is not like the most educated answer, but I I just think Tatooine looks like so much fun. So for no reason other than that, I think it would be fun to be there, but I don't know if it really makes a lot of sense for her to try to rebuild there, but yeah, exactly. What's your take? I'm curious to know.
I was kind of thinking that's something like a big city that you can hide in. So,
Yeah, that's a lot smarter. I'm just like, what would be the most fun? Yeah.
I was curious about, well, everyone knows Star Wars is this huge worldwide phenomenon. What your day was like when you got word that you were casted for the role.
I couldn't tell anyone. I mean, I told my family, but I told them, I was like, I'm in something that has something to do with Star Wars. I don't really know what it is. It's a TV show on this new streaming platform. Like I'm really grateful for the way it all unfolded for me because it was pretty low key. Like when I auditioned for it, I knew it was something to do with Star Wars, but it was so vague. And my audition was just me in the room with the casting associate. There was like nobody from the show. I was getting ready to get married. Like I was planning a wedding at the time. I was doing a play, so I was distracted by all these other things. So I just prepared for it like I would any other audition, and I do hundreds of auditions that amount to absolutely nothing. And then even when I got the call, my agent said, so they want you to be a part of it. They're not quite sure how many episodes you'll be in. They're still trying to work out like how they're paying people because for they didn't really audition that many people. They mostly like offered stuff to these amazing, big name actors. And so the rest of us, like random people, they were like, we don't really know what to do with you. So I didn't really have much to share. And I shot everything for my character before the show was even announced publicly, which was great because I think if I'd known like what a frenzy was going to be created around it and what the anticipation was going to be like, I would have been way more nervous. And I was already nervous enough because I'm working with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and I know their reputation, and it's Star Wars. So I was really grateful for that, and it's in some ways I love that I know still know very little about how much I'll be involved because I. As a fan of different things, like being surprised, and so when people ask me things, I'm kind of glad that I can't reveal anything. I can't give any spoilers because I think it makes the experience more fun to watch it. Yeah.
We all know that Lucasfilm always was in the forefront of visual effects, and you were one of the first who started working at this Magic Cube,
the volume.
New volume. And the question is, how much of the forge, how much of the surrounding was real for you?
All of
what
it.
was the experience like there? And what was the experience while working in the volume?
I did not work in the volume. I saw work happening in the volume, but all of the armor stuff, they built a room that was that forge, and they, so they would have to take out pieces of walls depending on what they were shooting. And it was all practical. There was CGI for the flames and some of the, I remember having a liquid that I was dipping something into. But it was all practical, which was great in and of itself. I was sort of jealous that I didn't get to work on the volume because it looked so cool. And when you are inside it, like it truly, you lose perspective on the unreality of it because it looks so real. It's just magnificent. But I got to have everything there for my little armorer's forge, and I was grateful for that too because it's nice to have the actual stuff. Yeah, it helps. Thanks. Hey there.
I was wondering what you thought about Gina Carano leaving the show, or being told that she was, and when are we going to see Disney and everybody else just relaxing.
Chill out.
us.
I wish I knew the answer to that.
Allowing us to just enjoy the suspension of belief, you know, and enjoy the show. I'm not real concerned about what someone believes, and that's why.
Yeah, I feel you. All I can say is that Gina, in working with her personally, what impressed me about her from the beginning is that she is so interested in other people's opinions and so welcoming of other people's opinions and wants to have a genuine dialogue. I mean, she's just like that in her day-to-day life. On set, she's more curious about the other people. She's very giving, she's very gracious. I am thoroughly baffled by a lot of what we're dealing with right now with cancel culture, and I think that it's, oh man, you know, there's so many layers to it that are important to look at, but I think that the hatred that comes into it and when people just start refusing to listen to the other side, no matter, you know, which side you're on, I think that that's really dangerous. One of the things that is so beautiful about our country is that we have free speech, and we can hear things that we don't like, and we can disagree, and that's fine. Yeah, no, I mean, I know so little about like what happened. I experienced it like you did. I don't know anything about the inner workings of it, and so I can only speak about Gina being a lovely person. And she is, yeah.
About your accent, because clearly you and the armor don't share the same accent. Did you audition with like a different accent, or did you work through them? Like people came up and were like, let's try this sort of accent, or versus this when you were on set, or?
Yeah, it happened in the audition because apparently, and this is another reason why I'm like, how did I end up here? I'm so lucky. Apparently so I did the scenes a few times in the audition, and then the casting associate, Jason, he said, okay, now we've mostly been seeing British women in their 50s and 60s for this, so do a British accent. So like, I don't even know how I'm not British, I'm not in my 50s or 60s, I made it into that room. And I think it wound up sticking because John liked that it set her apart and made her just like on a different level from everyone else. And it's delightful for me. It's sort of personally satisfying because, you know, there's lots of Brits that come and do brilliant American accents. And so now I get to go the other way. So that's fun. Hee hee.
How do you feel about seeing armor merchandising in Toys R Us? Do you have any action figures of yourself?
I do now, only because people have given them to me. Because it's so. I was like I didn't even find out I had an action figure till a friend like sent me a link. Nobody like official in any official capacity tells me any of this. I have nothing to do with the merchandising. And I even reached out to Hasbro. I messaged them on Instagram. I was like, hey, do you think I could get one? And I never got a response. Yeah. So I had a friend of mine bought me one of the first ones, and then somebody at this convention brought me a Black Series one, which I am so excited about. And Sideshow, the company that does Hot Toys. Hot Toys, is that, yeah. They just released the like 1/6 scale armorer, and they did send me one, and they sent me this super dope armorer ring. It says, "This is the way," and then I also keep cutting myself with because she has spikes on her helmet, and they're sharp. So that's very humbling. But I keep finding out about new things. Somebody brought me a keychain that they'd gotten at Walmart yesterday. I didn't know that existed. So somebody showed me some Adidas sneakers that have the armor on them, and I am just continually delighted and amazed. It's super fun.
Kind of your Lego.
And yeah, the Lego Forge. What the heck? So cool. I want to play with it all.
Hello, thanks for being here. I was just wondering, I know it's kind of early. I don't know if you have any idea if you'll be back maybe next year. This was my first opportunity to see you. The one thing that I always hate about DragonCon is you just cannot get to see, there's so much going on.
Oh my gosh, right?
it's just frustrating. Nobody walking.
So you're already planning for next year.
Well, not to get too transparent, since my wife passed away about 11 years ago, it's been.
It's okay, take whatever time you need. It's okay.
Anyway, that means a lot to come to each year.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And I don't know if I'll be back here next year. I would like to be, so whoever's listening from Dragon Con. And if you want me here, I guess tell them you want me here.
We'd love to have you back, obviously. But I mean, you're busy, so. My question is, I was hearing you talk about theater as well. Do you prefer theater over film? And then the follow-up question is, who would be your dream co-star in theater and film?
I prefer theater in the actual acting process, because I love the collaboration. I love just being in a rehearsal room with a bunch of actors for a long time. I love discovering the piece together. And I love having the audience there. That's one of the things I miss the most when I'm doing anything for the camera is you're surrounded by people, but they're not allowed to react. They all have to be quiet, and that's bizarre. And so you don't know, especially with comedy, if anything's landing. And that's one of the reasons also that I love the convention so much, because I get to finally be with the audience and hear your guys' reactions and learn so much from you. So in the moment, I love the experience of theater, but I also love getting to see the end product when I do. I mean, you could do a really interesting version of The Mandalorian on stage, but it would never look like it. Mandalorian the musical. It's probably
that would be awesome.
Do you think they'll do a musical episode in season 3?
Yeah!
That would be amazing. I mean, the Armor is always talking about the songs of eons past, so. Oh boy. Well, obviously there would be a song called "This Is the Way." It would be the 11 o'clock number. So yeah, I love them both for such different reasons. I've already gotten to work with my dream co-star on stage, an actor named Mark Rylance, who has also done a lot of movies as well, and he's won some Tony Awards and an Oscar, he's around. So that was really cool. I can't name a dream person I want to work with on screen, because I get sort of weird about saying those things sometimes, because I don't want to. I just want to keep it here. It feels scary to put it out there. Also because there have been plenty of people that I've been oh, it'd be amazing to work with that person, and then I wind up working with someone that I didn't think of who was equally amazing. So I like the surprise of it. But thank you for that question, wherever you went. Oh, there, you're back there.
Hello, how you doing? Nice to meet you. I love your voice in The Mandalorian. It's very great voice acting, and just your performance on the shows is amazing. I play Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes with a mobile game platform, and in that game, your character, the Armorer, is pretty powerful. They can help other people to become more OP. My question is, in future episodes of The Mandalorian or any other Star Wars series, we'll be able to get a chance to see you kicking more ass in the show.
I love that you put so much description before the question that I can't answer. You're setting it up. You're maybe if I say a whole bunch of things before I ask her, she won't notice, and she'll just slip and she'll answer it. Well played, sir. I don't know. That was very skillful.
Hi. First of all, I I just want to say I'm incredibly jealous of you because you got to be on Thank the Maker with Ryan Key and those other two guys who aren't Ryan Key.
They're from my hometown.
Oh, really? Cool. My question, though, has nothing to do with that.
Great. Are you going to ask me what that guy just asked?
No. This is one you hopefully can't answer. What's your favorite role that you've done aside from the armorer?
Oh, I don't have one favorite.
Don't have one.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'll go, but since I was just talking about working with Mark Rylance, and it's something that none of you know anything about, because this is also the bummer about theaters, like hardly anyone gets to see it. But it was a play that had been newly written, and we were sort of creating it as we were rehearsing it. And I was this character who was based on the Norse goddess Freya, but I lived in a sauna hut on a frozen lake in Wisconsin. And I learned a lot about the culture of ice fishing, which I didn't know anything about. I got to go ice fishing, but the premise of this play was that there were these two guys, it was sort of like a Waiting for Godot on a frozen lake. And these two guys are ice fishing, and then they run into these Norse gods who are like in hiding on a frozen lake in Wisconsin, because that's where you go. And Freya was this wonderful catastrophe of a woman who, like, truly, she had so much love, and she wanted to make everybody so happy, and she was so well-intentioned and so just unskilled in the execution. It caused a lot of messes, and that was so much fun. And like every night I had to give a toast, and I was allowed to write the toast every night, and my sole goal was to get my castmates to laugh. And trying to write, and so I decided that, there's this Norse goddess, she hasn't spent a lot of time on Earth, sort of like Amara, I guess, from Supernatural. It's like she's new to Earth, she's learning about the humans. So I was like, what would she use as a toast? So she would like pull from like 80s rock songs and like nursery rhymes, and it would just be the most bizarre combination of things, and it was so much fun when I got my castmates to laugh. But I love that when you get to work with actors who are just so in the moment, you get to improvise and you come up with magic that like just comes out of nowhere. So that was one of my favorites for sure. Yeah.
I was wondering if you could tell us how different it was filming for Disney versus Supernatural.
Well, I'll tell you what was similar, which was that both casts and crew were phenomenal. Just such skilled actors and craftspeople, but also such generous and gracious and collaborative artists. And that was so special about both experiences. The difference is definitely there. I mean, you can feel that there's a lot at stake with Star Wars because it's Star Wars and there's so much money and so much going on technically. But what really impressed me is that even with that, there wasn't a lot of stress. And I feel like John just created such a playful, imaginative atmosphere where we all felt free to try and fail, because you have to fail. If you keep playing it safe, you're not gonna make anything brilliant. But you have to have the space to do that. When there's a lot of I've been a part of things that they move very quickly. They got to stay on budget. They got to do this, that, and the other. And so you don't feel like you're worried about messing up, which is the worst feeling when you're doing anything creative. So I was grateful for that. Supernatural is just so goofy. I mean, all of the stories that you hear are true. It's so fun. It is unfortunate that Jared and Jensen are so ugly, but other than that, we all work with what we have. Other than that, they're pretty fun, and it's good that they have good personalities to make up for that. But yeah, I've just been stupidly blessed to get to work on such good shows with such good people. Yeah.
Good morning.
Hi.
So I was wondering, I know you don't always get to decide these things, but as you were doing it, did you feel like the armorer took in orphans because of her beliefs, or did you play that with any sort of maternal thoughts to it?
That's a really interesting question. I've never thought about this distinction between those two things. I think that it is the creed, so it is the way. So she would just do it, but I do think that, and one of the things I like about her is that there's a maternal quality to her. So I think it's a little bit of both. And I think that energy is so important for this very, these Mandalorians are warriors, and it's easy to draw upon that energy, the fighting spirit and the bravery that has to go with that. And I think that it's vital to have the energy that she provides too, that is a little more maternal and nurturing in her own way. She's not like a soft and sweet and cuddly mom, but she is a strong presence that way. Yeah, thank you.
We are just about out of time. We have 2 minutes left, and I did just think of a good one, so I'm going to sneak one in right at the end.
All right.
What do you think the armorer? How do you think the armorer would feel about Din's actions at the end of season 2 with revealing himself in front of everyone?
I'm as curious to know as you, because she did tell him that basically he had to do everything in his power to protect this this foundling that he has been entrusted with. They're a clan of 2, so I don't know. I don't know where that line is. Do the ends justify the means? I would be really interested to find out what her reaction would be, because I think she would try to understand, but I don't know that means that she would be okay with it. I don't know. I like that they set up that dilemma. Yeah,
That is basically perfect timing.
Great. You guys, thank you. Till whenever this thing shuts down. I have photo ops at 12 something, and I have photos with Omi, who plays Dr. Pershing. So.